Oh yeah, there we go.
What's going on, brother?
We're in
How you
business.
doing?
Not much, man. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, doing well. How are you?
Good.
I
Thanks
guess I
for
just asked you.
both of you coming on the show. I didn't expect that much out of you guys, but I do appreciate it. You guys
Good to
like
be
to
here,
stick
man.
together for your interviews? Is that the deal or what?
Yeah, well, we're sort of consolidating the Frojax brand, so we need
Yeah,
it takes two to tango, as they say.
fair enough. What is that Frojax? What does that come from?
It's just a name we came up with. It's actually an artist duo. We made music for a very long time. We opened the Frojax project like less than a year ago, like 9 months ago. And then it eventually evolved into what we do now, which is more like social commentary, politics kind of stuff. But we also release music under Frojax, but it's really just us. I'm Fro, he's Jax. We're brothers, so it's like a name I came up with, or someone came up with it when we were like
Okay,
10 years old.
got you. So Fro must be a nickname, or like, because I thought I wasn't. I was actually going to ask you what your name was. If it was
My
Fisher
name's
or
Forrest. My
Forrest.
name's
Oh,
Forrest. Yeah,
Forrest. Oh yeah. For some reason, I thought it was Fisher because I'm
yeah.
misremembering. But
My dad and my uncle called me Fro when I was a kid, and he just goes by Jax. So
okay, cool. Well, it's nice meeting you guys.
yeah, man, good to meet you.
Yeah.
You too,
So
man.
so how many of these podcasts have you done? Not like since it's just the 9 months. So how many have you guys done?
Well, we've done several interviews. We've done what, 4 or 5 interviews. We got a few lined up. I've done a couple of these. Like people will hit me up on Instagram. We've each done a couple together. We've each done a couple independently. Probably like
Yeah.
six.
Yeah. But I guess it's a natural transition because like for people out there, I will introduce these guys right away here so you guys know who I'm talking to. But when I see your guys' as like little Omegle, uh, is it? I'm not sure if you use Omegle, but whatever those things are where you switch screen to screen and there's like a person on the other side, random,
Yeah,
right? Like you guys rock those debates, even though it's not like you're going to get geniuses on those things. But
yeah. It's low hanging fruit a lot of the time.
yeah. But still, though, I mean, those low hanging fruits group up into a team on the street, and then all of a sudden it's not such a low hanging fruit, and you got 10 of them screaming at you. So you got to know how to like bat them off. I also watch a little bit of your street interviews, Forrest, and those are pretty entertaining as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We hope to do more of those. They're hard to do. We live in Orlando. We don't do them in Orlando anymore because downtown Orlando is not very friendly. It's also
yeah,
it's kind of dirty and it's really losing its old mystique
yeah,
aura.
yeah.
The,
It's
the
easy to go viral off those street interview clips for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people, especially when they're drinking, they say interesting things. So
yeah, for sure. Okay, well, guys, this one I really am fans of both of you guys. I know I didn't know your name, but
all right,
I'm
yeah,
big fans of both you guys, so I am super
thanks.
excited about today. I just want to say again, thank you so much for coming on Canadian Talk today. So
Our
yeah,
pleasure.
so let's start the episode. Um, Today we have Jaxon and Forrest Pryce on the podcast. You guys are musicians. What? Why? What are you
Yeah.
laughing at?
Well, he got okay, and this is well, it's not your fault. This is the stuff we're actually trying to clarify. So we'll do it on the episode because
Yeah,
what happened is I produced under the moniker Hurting Murphy for like 7 years. He wrote songs under the moniker Jaxon Pryce for the same amount of time or longer. And we eventually, like 9 months ago, consolidated because we worked together on music forever. But we had two different monikers. We just consolidated it to one thing called Frojax. So Jaxon Pryce is like his solo hip hop producer name, and mine is Hurting Murphy, and it's kind of the solo thing. So my
okay.
last name isn't Price; that's just like his moniker. But I get
Oh,
the yeah. My name's Forrest. His name's Jaxon. Um, Frojax is kind of the collective thing between the both of
got
us
you.
that we're moving everything towards.
Okay.
But there's still some confusion because people will like DM me and be like, "What's up, Frojax?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, Frojax is two people."
Yeah. I thought you guys were actual biological brothers.
We are, but our last
Oh,
name isn't Price. That's why I thought it was
got
funny.
you. Okay, sorry. Anyway, this is fitting perfectly for the show anyway, because this is what I do
Yeah, yeah.
every time at the beginning of the show. I do apologize if I get stuff wrong, but I'm basically giving an intro of to what I see you guys as, and why I, you know, admire you guys enough to have you on the show. So,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, musicians, and obviously, like I've seen you guys made that Wangaff song, which I think is prolific. It's amazing. It's going to be everywhere. It's single handedly leading the movement to get the N word back into free speech, which is amazing. And so yeah, you guys are both you guys like do music and you produce music, and I find you guys both very funny. Like you guys right now, probably other than that woman propaganda guy, are like the bravest souls that I see on the internet for basically just like full fledged debate, not afraid to say anything, say what's true. And yeah, I mean, it's huge to me when I watch online content and I see a lot of people. The constant thing now is people pander. They are afraid to get right to the point, talk about things. They're afraid of what saying certain things might make them look like, more so than even what the truth is and how we can make our country and our lives better, or whatever it may be. And so yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show today. And yeah,
Here, man.
Thanks for
Good to be
having
here. I
us.
appreciate
man.
that.
Yeah.
I appreciate the support. We're doing our best. We're just trying to be authentic. So I'm glad we're being well received.
authenticity, exactly. That's what I see in you guys for sure. So, how long have you guys been doing music?
Long time.
It's been a long time. I've been a writer since I was like 7 years old. And then one of my earliest memories was grandpa. This is like the classic story, but our grandpa got him a pair of turntables when you were like 10 or 12 or something like that.
Yeah,
When I was a kid, I was like freestyle rapping, and I don't know. It's been in our blood for a very long time. So we've been doing it for a long time. I think we started taking it seriously when I was in my late teens, and you were in like your early 20s, and we've been at it for a long time. And then, kind of like you said, we pivoted a little bit. We're a little bit more political, maybe a lot more political now, but we're kind of blending it all together in this one thing that we're calling Frojax. And I predict that Frojax is going to be very innovative. I think it's going to be a blend between culture, music, fringe politics. I think it's going to be like a hub for people like us that don't really have anywhere else to go. That's kind of what one of our goals is, create that space for people. So it's been part of us for a long time, though. The music is definitely baked into the cake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the whole Frojax thing, it's been happening more organically because what is like really missing, I think, in the movement, which is just the broad term for sort of like the reawakening of white consciousness, American consciousness, and this is all across the Anglosphere, Canada, Australia, parts of Europe. What's missing is really like the cultural movement part. There's all these pundits that are making waves. There's lots of activists. There's lots of groups. There's RTTL. People are hitting it their own way. There's Sam Hyde, which is comedy, which would be probably the closest thing.
yeah, he's hilarious.
Yeah, I guess he's not particularly political, but you know that he's very much pro-white. So we didn't set out to do exactly what we're doing. We set out to just make music, but our interest in politics is starting to blend into that. And I think we're going to end up just offering sort of a cultural perspective, an artistic perspective, rather than just debates or just activism or just, you know what I mean? So I think you kind of have to make white people cool again, don't
Yeah, yeah, totally. I love that. So it's kind of like a cultural movement then, rather than something that you could put into a box.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if the zeitgeist opens up
willing.
far enough for us
Yeah.
to slip in there, then we'll do it.
Yeah, you guys are very popular. You've got lots of followers on Instagram, but when I went over to your YouTube, I was surprised. Unless I went to the wrong one, there wasn't as many people as I thought there would be.
There's not. We actually just revamped it. He put a bunch of thumbnails up there. We're working with somebody. We're going to revamp our website, get all the design. So we're kind of working on the other things. Instagram is where all the major engagement is happening currently. We didn't really start taking YouTube seriously until recently, but now we're going to be doing a lot of thought pieces.
Are you reading off like an AI script? Did you guys generate an AI script for your business plan, or it looks like you're looking off to the side reading off of something?
I'm looking at
no.
I'm looking at the YouTube screen because I mean I'll show you. I don't know if you checked
okay.
out. I don't know if you checked out the actual thing, but we're sort
Yeah,
of going. Like
That's a cool logo. I like the animation.
Yeah, I worked with a guy for like 3 weeks to get the Frojax thing done.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to do like a post-revolutionary Renaissance oil painting, like American style, and we're revamping everything. So you'll see more stuff on YouTube very soon. We have a lot of stuff.
Cool. Well, let's try not to get too inside baseball. I mean, let's talk about some stuff.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. People know that we're doing stuff, so let's talk about that stuff. So, like you said, yeah, you guys are, and I guess to an extent, a person might say that I am. I'm not really sure. Um, but you guys are basically, you guys promote white culture. Like this is something that growing up in my life, I was amazed to see, and this is like something that happened in the 2000s, the 2010s. Somehow, white culture evaporated, and whatever it was before, it we lost connection to it. I think as a group in the West, and it's I think you could argue it's like you called it the Anglosphere. I had never actually heard that term before, but yeah, we're losing it,
Mhm.
and you guys try to combat that, right?
Mhm.
With the content you guys create, you go out there and you directly debate people. You mostly stick to statistics and basically facts. And I mean, everyone I've watched, you've convinced me. So like, right off the hop, like I've got a list of crap here, but right off the top, my first question is like, because I talked to a PhD professor 4 weeks ago about. Oh, did I lose your video? No, we're good. We're good. I talked to a PhD professor in multiculturalism like a month ago, and I asked her about how, like, the West, multiculturalism, is it a failed experiment at this point? Or what are we doing here in the West? And so I'm curious what you have to say. Like, if we were to try to go after this remigration stuff or any of this type of stuff where we somehow create a movement that can convince white people to not be so guilty about the past, like through, because the debates alone are seeming to work because people are seeing it and being like, oh, yeah, hey, residential schools in Canada really weren't that bad. All schools sucked back then. Hey, like, we didn't actually take the country from them. We just came here also, and that just happens. That's just assimilation. Like, there's no guilt that needs to be accompanied with that. Sorry, I'm ranting here, but so how do you think this will look moving forward? Like, do you have any strategies other than what you guys are doing? Like, tell me a little bit about how you think the West can be won back. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think for us, we're playing our part in our own sort of Frojax unorthodox way, which is attacking it from the cultural angle. And, we have something that we call node theory, which is that, in this dissident pro white arena, we have it's like an attack vector, basically. And so there's different nodes. So one of those nodes is the cultural node. So that's like people like Sam Hyde, or now people like my brother and I, Forrest and Jaxon, Frojax. And then you have more like traditionalist homesteading communities like RTTL, and I would describe that as like the homesteading node. Then you have political pundits and political influencers. Somebody like Nick Fuentes, for example, would be an example of the political node, or Kai Cliff. What is his last name? Kai
Schwimmer, yeah.
Kai Schwimmer, but also I would include him in that as well. And then the fourth one I would say is like the militant branch. So organizations like Patriot Front. And then the fifth one I would also say is like human capital. So basically what I'm saying is that in pursuit of this pro-white renaissance where we're trying to come back into who we are as people and get rid of the apologies and get rid of the guilt, it's this attack vector where we have to come at it from all these different angles at the same time. We all have to play our role collectively, and I think one of the reasons why the cultural angle is so important is because pushing a new culture will change the attitude that people have. And if you change people's attitudes, they will feel more comfortable or more inspired, perhaps, to stand up for themselves. And so I think that's one of the things my brother and I are doing, is just seeing how far we can exercise our First Amendment and how far we can stretch the parameters of the Overton window and make white people feel less burdened by guilt and all these constructs, which are all lies, by the way. I mean, effectively what's happened to our people, not just in America, but like he said, the Anglosphere, Europe, it is a visceral attack on the white race, is to demoralize us into giving up our birthright so that that birthright can be inherited by third world people who will not be grateful for it.
Yeah.
And I'm not a cynical man. I'm actually very optimistic. It's a really David versus Goliath kind of situation we find ourselves in. I'm still an optimist, but I'm also very blunt about the future. And I think my brother and I see the writing on the wall. If we do not facilitate radical political change, white people are going to be slaughtered.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen sooner than people realize. And so I'm at a point where I'm telling people standing on the sidelines and just observing the problems and not doing anything about it isn't going to be enough going forward. The ultimate answer to all of this, the ultimate antidote, is for us to collectivize, which in a small microcosm kind of way is what we're doing right now. You saw us for a reason. The message was resonating, and we have white people coming together. And really, that's something that we need to do throughout the whole world. And so I'm rambling a little bit here. I'll pass it off to you, but I'd say ultimately the theory, pushing the culture, and then collectivization is the main thing.
For sure.
I guess
just really quickly, if I could just jump in, just for my listeners, the Overton window, that is, if I remember, that is like the amount, the things that a culture is allowed to talk about, right? It's like the limit. What is it again?
Yeah, basically, it's basically the boundaries of the zeitgeist that's allowed, like
social taboo boundaries, right?
You said, like the N-word. That's not exactly
taboo, shame, boundaries. Yes.
Okay. And just to kind of add to the cultural aspect of that, a lot of people are waking up to the fact that our culture is being diminished, forgotten, vandalized in a way, or maybe it doesn't really exist in a sense. And people
can
want
I pause
to
you really quick? Can I pause you really quick? I'm sorry. Yeah, fuck. I didn't want to stop Jaxon while he was talking, but I noticed the issue start happening.
That's okay. Yeah, I don't know if that'll help at all. It says I have 4 full bars, but every single interview we've done has had slight lag.
Okay.
So
it's we're good now. It was working now. Okay. So let's go from here. So
yeah, well, I guess just real quick, just to add to the cultural thing, something that I notice is white people waking up to the fact that our culture is being vandalized or forgotten, or it's not really here, and they want to revive old versions of it. They want to, people call it LARPing. Oh, I want to dress like a revolutionary, or, oh, I want, trad. I see it a lot in the trad conservative movement. I find it really kind of gross. I'm more focused on moving forward because the evolution of culture is an organic process, and white culture has and will continue to evolve and change as time goes on. The issue that we're experiencing is because there's interference. This organic process has been interfered with. It's like this organic organism is evolving, and then you just throw like some sort of bacteria on it, and it fucks it all up. It's like they're inserting people that are so culturally and genetically distinct that they're just mixing up the whole process that would naturally, people come and assimilate and things flow and ebb naturally. That process has been stunted, and I think that's what everyone's panicking about.
Exactly, right. Like I was talking with a debater from that Jubilee show, Surrounded. His name is Micah Kunkel the other day. And culture is downstream of religion, and you could talk about it from the sense of Islam versus Christianity. And you've got a problem there right off the hop, right? Or what always comes to mind when I think about this, just to jump back to my question of like, when can we conclusively say that multiculturalism is a failed experiment or whatever? I think about like this one experiment that I know of. I'm not sure if you are aware of it. In Denmark, they brought in, like, they didn't have any immigration. They did this, I think this was 20 years ago or something. They did this study. They brought in 1,000 Palestinian immigrants. I believe they were Palestinian. And within the first 10 years, half of these Palestinian immigrants were in jail. 40% of them were on social services, like getting money from the government. And then, so that's obviously not good. That's 90% of them not being productive or doing crime. And then they came and they checked in on them again 20 years later or something like that. And they had all had children because they would keep track of the 1,000 original and then all their children as well. There was like 4,000 of them now. And then of those 4,000, even with the children being assumingly fully assimilated into Denmark after being born there, still the numbers were around the same or worse, where there was like 70% of them were in jail and the other 25% were on social services and 5% were productive. So like when you see that, how much more evidence do we need? Like I think about COVID, and I think about how when it was happening, there was such clear mathematical evidence of like, hey, this is not that bad for most people. It's not that deadly. But yet the bias of that medical institution, they were still allowed to just go out there. They weren't putting mathematicians in front of the media being like, hey, there's a 0.001% chance you're going to die. They were putting medical people on there who were bullshitting about, oh, we don't have enough ventilators and all this nonsense, just so they could sensationalize the importance of their profession and get more and more money. So I hate abuses of power like that, and I hate it when the status quo doesn't see what's right in front of their face. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
so yeah, I don't know if there was really a question in there. Yeah, that was
I
what I
mean,
was gonna ask.
you say culture's downstream from religion. I would even go a step further and say religion is downstream from race. I would say
Exactly.
culture, I would say religion is sort of culture in a sense, because, and here's an example. Take Christianity. There's a central figure of Christianity. It's God, it's Jesus, it's the cross. That's the central symbolism in the figure. But if you go to Rome and you go to Germany, the central figure is the same. The text is roughly the same. The language is different. The things that they wear are different. The way that they celebrate and act are different. The churches are perhaps built differently. The way that they sort of express these, what they would call objective beliefs, transcendent beliefs, are distinct. If you go to Africa, Christianity is practiced very differently in Africa, right? So like
Yeah.
Christianity isn't equal globally. It's downstream from the people. And you could say it's a matter of like assimilation, right? You know, Italian culture is distinct from French culture. But if you bring an Italian family to America and a French family to America, and they have kids, their kids are just white Americans after a certain point. There is a adjacency that allows this natural melding together because of, I think, it's shared ancestry. I think there is a genetic similarity, you know. And then you look at certain places in Africa that are majority Catholic, and they're still crime ridden. And I don't think that's because Catholicism is wrong. I think that it's just because race really is real. And I think that despite the religion, they still have faulty systems and structures, you know?
Yeah, and the problem with that too is because I do agree with you, and a lot of times when I've been trying to have some debates with this with some of my engineering school friends and stuff, the problem is I categorize what you're talking about right now as essentially the ethnocentric perspective of looking at this. The problem is that politically, or they don't really jive because they're so taboo to speak about it at least by modern standards. It becomes so taboo to speak about it from an ethnic lens that you
Yes.
lose such a large amount of people
Yes.
in the mess in trying to deliver the message. So that can be the problem there. But I definitely agree with you. And when you're really trying to look at the answers for a lot of this, it does boil back to race. It's wild.
Well,
And
that's the issue, right? And that's why the accelerationists have a point, is that what is it going to take for, you know, Granny Lucille across the street to say, you know, Jesus isn't going to save all the people in the ghetto, right? What is it really going to take? It's going to take a bunch of immigrants coming and raping people,
yeah,
right? I mean,
but the violence will have to be right on her doorstep. Yeah, exactly.
It already is though, and white people are going to continue being on the receiving end of acts of black and brown brutality. It's already happening. It's really just going to be a generational thing. It's going to take a few years here, but once this Generation Z is a little bit more, I guess, distinguished, a little bit older, a little bit more sophisticated, we are going to take political power and things are going to radically transform.
Yeah, I
And
hope so. Like I have this one view on it. I'll say it, and then we'll just jump to something a little lighter, just to ask some questions about you guys after this. But like my view on it is I do believe in law and order, and I hope that it will. So moving forward, I hope that, let's say, the Islamification stuff. Like, let's say we eventually get to the point where, so take Canada for example. We have 5% Islamic population. Just a couple years ago, it was like 1%. So it's growing at an insane rate. When that gets to 20%, where or to 30, where it starts being in that range where it's a little sketchy, a little bit approaching majority, will it be too taboo then for us to vote, use democracy, and just be like, okay, there's an immigration limit. We cannot let Islamic people into the country anymore. Will that work, or will mass protests happen and it just, law and order will fail to maintain this as an Anglo sphere? You
do you
know,
think the Anglo people care about law and order, or the Muslim people? Because I think that they only care about law and order insofar as it serves them. I mean, they vote Democrat. They literally,
I've heard this.
They hate LGBT more than any group of people on earth. They're very conservative,
Yep.
but they will vote Democrat when they move to Western countries because it serves them.
It's easier to control them, right? Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we'll lighten it, and we're going to circle back to this. Trust me. But so I'm curious. All right, today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Rolls-Royce Meal Prep Service. specialty rice and proteins, weekly soup options. This is a great company. I've known the owner for my whole life. He is just a quality person, great cook. So if you are sick of cooking and you want to get somebody to make you delicious meals that you can have delivered to your house, or you can also do them on pickup, you can find Rolls Rice on Instagram at Rolls Rice YXC. You can just contact them by phone. Send them a text if you want, 306-291-5779. Or you can scan the logo on the screen here, and I think it'll bring you right to their website. I eat them every day. They're delicious. I just had a salmon one today. Big portions, cheap prices. So yeah, go and check out this food if you want to get some delicious food and you want to stay healthy. And yeah, we thank Rolls Rice for supporting this episode of the Canadian Talk Podcast. Curious, where did the Hurting Murphy come from? Was that your music group's name at a certain point, or what does it mean?
Yeah, I'm a music producer. I started making really like a lot of people. I started making hip hop beats, like old school boom bap, and then like modern day trap beats. And then I started making EDM, and then it's kind of the name that I just sort of came up with. Murphy was the nickname I went by a long time ago, and I just did that, and I did that for 7 years. And he was Jaxon Pryce. He went through evolutions of different names and stuff, as artists kind of go through evolutions, and then everything eventually just converged because we work with each other 100% of the time on music. Anyway, I produced almost every single song that he's done, and he's done vocals on a lot of my songs. So we just sort of made it one thing. But music's always been a part of our life, you know.
That's very cool. God, it's stuttering a little bit on the video. I swear, I feel like right now the government is trying to stop this interview. Like, it's crazy that our internet is screwing up like this, but I think it'll be good enough.
If the audio is good, I think that's all.
Yeah, the video and audio are there. They're falling out of sync. Yeah. So how old are you guys?
I am 30. I'll actually be turning 31 in about a week, exactly 1 week.
Oh yeah, 30, 31 though, you can still tell yourself that you're in your 20s. It's once you hit like 33, 34 where you're like, oh God, I am actually my mid 30s now. I can't say I'm 20 anymore. Like,
yeah.
I'm 33. How old are you? Sorry, just to remind myself too, it was Pryce is Mr. Beard, and then that's Jaxon, right? Jaxon and Pryce.
I'm Forrest. He's Jaxon.
Okay. Forrest and Jaxon, and both your last names are Pryce.
No. But
okay. You guys have was there a divorce in your family, or we don't have to talk about it if you?
No, we have the same last name. Our last name's Rigdon. I mean, it's not like we're hiding it. It'll be out there on the internet.
Pryce is a moniker. Pryce is like my stage name.
It's a stage name. Got it. Okay. How did you pick your stage name?
I just thought Pryce sounded sexy, so I went with that. Yeah.
So you guys were into hip hop when you started out in music. So you must have originally had, and I was the same way. I used to love rap. I originally had an admiration for black culture, and then in a sense, it almost flipped on its head. Did the same thing happen to you guys? I assume as well. I started to actually listen to the music, and I was like, "Oh wait, this is what I'm listening to."
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, I mean, even back before I was radicalized and before I was a racialist, I was still more drawn to dense lyricism. So I would listen to like MF Doom and Lupe Fiasco, which honestly, in hindsight, is even for that, there's like an IQ threshold. Because like most black people do not listen to MF Doom and Lupe Fiasco. Those are like white people rappers, even though they're like very black people. But even now, like it is difficult for me now that I see things differently, or perhaps now that I see things correctly after I've deconditioned myself. I still do plan on participating in it because I think that I'm exceptional at it. And I think that I also do it in my own way. I don't really do it in a black way, I guess is kind of a weird way of saying it. But I mean, I do it in an authentic and I would say white way. But it has ground down to a point, especially now. I mean, the modern state, there's so much degeneracy. It's so lowbrow. I mean, how much more sexual degradation and drug use and gang culture can we possibly see? It's gotten to a point where it can't possibly be more debased. And so it is a shame because I am still a believer that there is some semblance of real artistry that is possible in hip hop. Because I used to study like the 5 elements, which is like the knowledge and the DJ and the graffiti and the breakdancing and the MC. And like there is some truth to it. and the storytelling and the lyricism. I think all that stuff is important, but most people can't look past just the superficial level, which is just the insane level of degeneracy. So I don't know. It's a weird. It's at a weird point for me where I'm like, am I going to switch genres? Is my artistry going to evolve even more? I mean, I play fingerstyle guitar as well, and I wrote a song called "America First," which is probably going to have like electric guitar in it. We don't really know yet. So for me, it's going to be like another process of evolution. So I'm not sure what exactly it's going to look like yet. But
people throw a lot of criticisms about the hip hop. I have absolutely no feelings about that. People will DM me and be like, "You can't make hit." It's like I can do whatever the fuck I want. See, I consider hip hop to be sort of a blending of two cultures. I mean,
it's American ethnogenesis.
Well, yeah, it's American ethnogenesis as black mixing with white. And to be fair, all American hip hop is rapped in English, lest we not forget. And it's like owned by Jewish record labels, and there's like Jewish subversion in there. And then all of my favorite rappers are white people. Like, they're all like UK white people. It's like you can call that black culture. I wouldn't call. I mean, there's pockets of it that are certainly black, and I like some of that stuff too. I don't think that I have to be exclusively all I listen to is like revolutionary music where people play flutes and talk about America. Like, that's gay, bro. That's just LARPing. Like, you can participate in other cultures, and I think that I have the right to.
Yeah, like Oliver Anthony. But yeah, you guys, well, there definitely is an opening for guys like you. Like, there's just that one other guy. I think his name is Tom McDonald or something like that. Do you know that one other white rapper guy who does a lot of political stuff? Have you seen?
Yeah, that's like
he's like a MAGA.
He's like MAGA. He's so like in terms of music, Tom McDonald is MAGA and I'm Hitler. That's how I'll say it.
Gotcha. Yeah, you guys
like quality and style. Like his music, it's like average to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like he's way more successful musically, and maybe people will shit on me. I just find it very gimmicky. Like, that's his one thing that he does is talk about little boys shouldn't cut their penises off. That's bad.
Yeah.
And, like,
he definitely sacrifices the sound and the quality of the music to get the dialogue. He shoves a lot of dialogue in there for sure. And sometimes it compromises the music. So yeah, I'm curious what you guys think of Nick Fuentes now, because especially if you've got a song that you're going to call America First. So I'm curious what you think of Nick Fuentes. But before we jump to that, I was curious the Wangaff thing, because are you guys the founders of that? I was surfing around online for it like the other day, and I just looked up Wangaff, and I assumed your song would just pop up, but it didn't. Some weird song from 1988 popped up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, "What's that?" I think it seems like Jaxon knows what I'm talking about, but there.
No,
and I was,
from 1988.
Yeah,
so there's some white guy. There's some white guy who's way ahead of his time. Just like, we're the Wangaffs.
88.
No, we didn't invent the catchphrase.
Oh.
I think Nick was the one that popularized it in like 2023. But I mean, the term was going around, and I was like, okay, I make music, I'm dope. Why don't I be the first person to like make a not AI slop version of that? And so I made the song. Like, people like it.
That's what I thought, because I think I remembered Nick Fuentes saying the Wangaff stuff too, and I was like, okay, but that's for the Groypers over there. And I was like, and I don't know if that's a pejorative. I don't mean to use that term. I'm not familiar with this very much. But you guys, when I saw you guys using it and you made the song, I was like, okay, this is catching on and more people are going to start using this. That was to me, you guys founded it.
Well, thank you. I hope that happens.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think he came up with the term, but America First, although that is like in like contemporary political culture, that's it's the name of his podcast. He's trying to start a sort of political force that's described as being America First, but that term goes back even to like World War II, or people like Pat Buchanan, older political figures outside of our generation, had coined that term previously. So that sentiment has been existing in American culture for a very long time now. I think you asked about our opinion on Nick Fuentes. I like him. I think he's a net positive. I think that he's broken the Overton window open more than arguably anybody else has. I think he's radicalized a lot of people. And I think that in terms of like political strategy, I do believe that he is a savant. I think he's a brilliant political thinker. As far as everything else, like his cultural takes or his style of leadership, I'd say it's very 50-50 for me.
Maybe less.
A lot of like the clavicular glazing, like don't go, and then like some of the other stuff that he says socially, I think is kind of retarded. And
what do
also,
you mean by clavicular glazing?
It's all, he
like,
talks so positively about clavicular, you know. It
Yeah.
seems off brand for him.
Yeah, and clavicular,
Yeah.
just for the listeners, so people know, he's that guy. He basically is like kind of a handsome online guy who does looks maxing, where he like hits himself in the face, and he what else does he do? He's a streamer.
Yeah, he's a cultural force that represents.
Yeah, he says the N-word, right?
Like he's what people think is white culture now, which is it's sort of troublesome. He's like an example of how bad hypergamy's gotten. He's like the black pill, you know.
Okay.
I guess the difference is that people like that are participating in this like mouse utopia, self-destructive, Weimar Republic kind of culture. Whereas people like my brother and I, not to sound self-righteous, but instead of like participating in it and trying to suck out as much pleasure as we can before the system falls apart, we're actually trying to be constructive and oppose it. Okay. So, I mean, that's really the difference, is like, you can try to like participate in it and suck it out for money and pleasure, but I actually want to oppose it. And opposing that is a lot harder. And Nick is one of the people who has consistently been somebody who has tried to oppose this corrupt ethos. And the fact that he's co-signed clavicular is like, people say Nick is a Fed. I don't believe any of that. The only thing about Nick that I don't like is like the clav thing. I think it's very odd to me. I think it's the only thing actually that's inconsistent with his history. So
to be fair though, and one perspective that I have, this isn't an endorsement of clavicular on a personal level. I'm not that fond of his behavior. I even like DM'd him back and forth a little bit. It was a very weird exchange, but I will say that it is a signal that things are so bad. I mean, it's so bad. And the accelerationist perspective is like, okay, let's get on with it. Let's get on with the societal collapse so that we can figure out what we're going to do next. Right. And I think that he very much represents that. I mean, clavicular, he came out and said, oh, you guys don't think it's fucked? Well, how about this? I'm going to get really handsome and I'll show you how fucked it is. And he did. And it is. So it's bad.
Yeah, he proved something there. I'm curious, what is your guys' ethnicity?
American.
Yeah.
American.
Okay. Genetically, our ancestry is almost completely
Anglo-Saxon.
It's almost completely English, a little Irish mixed in there.
Okay, yeah, because I looked up the Pryce last name and I was like, it said Welsh, and I was like, that's British, right? I think that's British.
There's a little bit of Welsh in there.
Pryce is the
moniker. Rigdon is our last name. It goes back to Kent, England in the 14th, 15th century.
Sorry, I smoked too much weed. I forgot already that Pryce isn't your real last name. God
You're
damn
good.
it.
You're good.
Yeah. So
Rigdon, it's very English.
Yeah. So if you guys were to wake up one morning and be black, what would be the first thing that you'd do?
Kill myself, because that's like the worst way to be born. No. So it's like, I don't know, being black would suck.
Well, hold on, really quick. Is it just for one day, or like I am now a black person?
You're now a black person, yeah.
Oh, forever.
You're gonna move out. No,
yeah.
I don't know.
I would immediately abandon my daughter.
Okay, so is it like everything? Look at that. Froze on like the best possible frame.
Yeah.
Did you lose him?
For these hypotheticals, I just need a little bit of context.
Oh, yeah,
so I'm still my brain and my everything that I know, but I look like a black man.
Exactly.
But is my family the same? Like I still have a white brother and a white child?
Well, you'd have a black family and everything. It's kind of like to see what you do if because we want black people or whoever to, remigrate or do whatever, change their cultures, get better. If you were a black person, and you woke up, other than dismantling, what's that with the Black Power movement recently? What's that called again?
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Like, what would you do if you woke up as a black person?
I mean, if I was my brain, I would do everything that I could to be a positive representative of my people, just like I'm trying to do as a white person. Obviously, I'm going to fall short in a lot of ways, but I would hope that I would be a good black person. I mean,
yeah, that's what I thought you'd say.
I don't have anything inherently against black people. I just think that the cultural differences have heated up to a point to where going our own way and sort of figuring out our issues internally is the best way to go about it. So hopefully I would just be a good person and I would just be black and I would be a good black person, you know?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Did you guys play sports, or did you guys grow up playing any sports?
I played soccer. We were more video game kids, I think. We were like RuneScape and Call of Duty.
Oh, I love RuneScape. So many of my hours have been playing RuneScape. I got a red mask at one point, and then I was so excited about it, and then my buddy like hacked my account and stole my red mask, and it was the whole thing. But yeah, no, I like video games too. So you guys grew up in America?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about what your life was like growing up, or is that?
Yeah, we were born in Florida originally, and then our family was they were the Jehovah's Witnesses, and they were like high-ranking members. And long story short, they were like excommunicated, so they had to like move out of the state, and we moved around a lot. We lived in New Hampshire for a little bit.
Well, just to clean that up. Yeah. They left the religion prior to me being born. So my mom and my dad were like, we're not going to, so we're not Jehovah's Witnesses.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They were before we were born. This is over 30 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. That's a necessary clarification for sure. Yeah. People don't like Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah.
Jehovah's Witnesses are nice people.
They are nice. They are nice.
Their religion, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're ballsy. I mean, they're going door to door, right? They're known for going door to door, which is pretty ballsy.
True. Yeah, we just need them to be more racist, and then they'll be good. But we,
you know who I found out was
around
pretty
a lot.
Oh, sorry, we skipped there. You know who I found out was pretty racist recently, and I'm not sure if it's real or not, but I heard that Mormons are quite pro-white.
Many of them, certain factions believe in the curse of Ham, which is that if you're a descendant of Ham, which would be Africans, you have a curse, which
makes sense.
I mean, it sort of makes sense, right?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you were talking about your upbringing. You could continue if you.
Yeah, no, we moved around a lot. Our parents split up, and then we went to high school in Minnesota. And then after high school, we moved back to Florida, and we've been here for a while. It was pretty cool. We were raised secular, and I don't know, our parents are both smart people and good people. And
my mom was a yoga teacher for a long time. Now she's in law. I don't want to dox them too much, but yeah, just kind of normal people. My dad's a software engineer, very cerebral and intelligent. You got to cut the ice.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good upbringing, guys. Like, I mean, except for the soccer part. That's pretty gay.
Yeah, well, it's like my parents wanted me to do something. I was always I think I was more interested in ideas, and like I liked video games a lot. I was never a sports person, though I'm very physical now. I wasn't when I was growing up.
Fair enough. Did you guys go to any secondary school, like university or anything like that?
I did like 2 semesters in college, and then I just dropped out. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I went to school for a couple of years, and then I left too because I was just no.
Well, a lot of people think the education system now is so captured by the left that it is really just an indoctrination camp for lefties nowadays. I mean, Charlie Kirk was the spearhead in trying to reverse that, and I mean, look at what happened to him. What did you guys think of that?
Of Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, like.
I mean, it shows that the left is cool with political violence, and we have irreconcilable differences, and the left has to be eviscerated. So that's the only option at this point. I mean, we don't do calls to action, but I mean, they whacked this guy. I don't know if it was an inside job. The whole lone shooter thing has always been kind of suspect for me. I don't know if I fully believe that narrative, but at a minimum, like, I don't think he was a bad person. He was kind of like a normie Republican kind of guy compared to us, I guess. But I mean, I was disturbed by it because it was a grotesque killing. And he definitely did not deserve it. The thing that pissed me off was when people tried to compare it to George Floyd, as if those two things are even remotely in the same realm.
Yeah.
So
the George Floyd thing pissed me off so much. It's just, the guy was on fucking fentanyl. How can we, how did we ever, dude, I heard this the other day. Like, how did we ever put that Chauvin guy in prison. I mean, do you guys know that I think he got stabbed like 25 times in prison? Like,
Yep.
Yep.
why is he
Yep.
in prison for just being a civil servant? And like, it's, oh my God, what the
He
actual,
needs to be pardoned and paid money.
For the
Yeah.
he should
He
be
will be.
pardoned and given a house and a stipend for his whole family for the rest of his life. It's like he was a cultural sacrifice because because our legal system
Yep.
caved to mob rule. Most people still haven't even like so much stuff has happened in the past few years, vaccines and COVID and Derek Chauvin, and it's like we haven't even had a cultural conversation about the fact that there was an unprecedented legal situation that was set in America, which is that our legal system did not work.
Yeah.
This person did not have rights. He was
Yeah.
forfeited to the mob rule.
Due
Yeah.
process failed over
Yeah.
a black person.
Yeah. And if I could,
This-
if I could quickly interject there, yeah, this is where it kind of connects to the N word in a sense too, at least for me, is because like you see out there now, you see like somebody will say the N word, like a white person, even a white girl, and they will get mercilessly beat like on the street. And it's just like, then all the assault charges, the aggravated assault charges will just get dropped after because, oh, she said the N word. So she did a hate speech. So she's basically allowed to be beat to a pulp. Like,
Yeah.
since when is that how the legal system works? That's
Yep.
fucking insane.
People lose their job. People,
Yeah.
And
It's anti-white is really it showcases two things. Number one, it showcases the infantile emotional volatility of non-white people, and we can be crass and blunt, but we don't have time to beat around the fucking bush.
No, we don't.
We treat these people like children. You say the word nigger and they lose their shit. Give me a break. It's a fucking word. Okay.
Yeah. I kind of want to say it. I've never said it on this podcast, and I'm like, hey, if they ask me to say it, maybe I will. But that's why I like that Lily Gladys so much, because I really see her as a hero coming out to defend that one lady who got in trouble for saying the N-word on like in a park or something. Did you guys see that? And then
there's been a lot of those. I've seen girls lose their college scholarships. People lose their job.
The Hendricks girl, the blonde hair. What I was going to say, though, I was just trying to wrap up the point, is that it showcases the volatility, but two, it showcases like when a white person says nigga, it's sort of like a symbolic representation of the white man not caring about guilt anymore. And people are so threatened by that. People aren't necessarily threatened exclusively by the use of the word, but the symbolism of white people standing up for themselves, because they are actually scared of us, because they know that when we compete in the way that they are, which is in like this sort of savage tribal way, that we will win, which we will. It's going to happen here soon.
Love it.
It really represents those two things. Not to ramble here, but yeah, I mean, dude, that it's so Orwellian. A white person expresses free speech, and the legal system says, yeah, let this person beat them to the brink of death. Essentially, it is insanity.
Yeah.
And anybody that hasn't seen, just on the George Floyd thing, there's a documentary called The Fall of Minneapolis. It's dense. It's full of a lot of good information. And if you want a perspective on what actually happened there, it will blow your mind. And if you really put it into perspective, due process, the legal system, this complex system of governance that we've set in place
comes from common law.
It comes from white culture, right?
Yeah.
And it fell apart and crumbled, and we sacrificed a white man for a black person. Like that's really what happened.
For a black person's memory.
For a black person's memory. And the black person was a low quality person. He was a abusive, violent criminal who was committing a crime at that time.
Yeah. But I think that part of the problem is that the legal system, in a sense, is downstream of the culture, where it has to, it's people think that it's what's written down and that's the rule. It's more or less the legal system. The decisions these judges make are decisions that they make to ensure that they're appeasing the masses. Like if they make a judgment and too many people are mad about it, that's not what they're trying to do. That's the annoying part about the legal system, is somehow they've even lost their connection to making judgments based on reality rather than appeasing social zeitgeists. And it's like, that's what it is. And if I could jump back to the religion thing and how that unifies a country, like whenever I think about that, I always think about Russia, right? Because Russia doesn't have the problem really that the West is having. And they're a pretty multi-racial country. But what they have is they have one unifying religion, right? They have whatever, it's Russian Orthodox Catholicism or whatever it is. And I think that that's the strength of what they're doing there. Is they're like, okay, we're going to have Middle Eastern people out in the south, we're going to have East Asian people coming from here because they're so big, and they're all Russians, but they all are the same religion, you know. And I think that that's the key to Russia's success anyway. A lot of people think that Russia isn't successful, but to be honest with you, if you can be cut off by the entire world in the way that they are and still be a functioning, pretty successful country, that shows to your strength, not to your weakness, you know. So
Well, propaganda plays a big role because multiculturalism would at least be better if people weren't conditioned to resent and hate each other. Unfortunately, multiculturalism means different interests. Multiculturalism basically just means conflict. If everyone in Russia was the same race, there would probably be less conflict, though they may be more successful at multiculturalism than we are because Hollywood and everyone hates the founding stock of the United States. Are they that multiracial there?
yeah, I think they are. I think they have quite a few uh, like brown and Middle Eastern people in Russia.
Interesting.
Yeah, one thing I was going to ask you guys, because I wanted to get your take on this. It seems like assimilation nowadays, at its core, is something that is demonized. Like it's crazy. Like in the West, we see these people. It's mostly to do with Islam right now, but there's people that think that it's like a targeted strategy for an expansion of Islam into the West. A lot of them, even moderate Islamic people, think that they're coming here and fuck these countries. Like I'm Islamic and I'm never going to change it. So in terms of this remigration thing, like that's where I love it, where it's just like there should be like a two-pronged thing. If you're white, you can stay. If you're Islamic and you denounce the country that you're in, even if you're white presenting, you're gone. Like if you're in Canada or in the United States and you're like, I wouldn't fight for their military. I care about my own country of origin. Why are they here? You know what I'm saying?
I personally don't care if they're Christian and white presenting. If they're not European, I'm gonna have to draw a hard line. I mean, because again, it's like that basically goes back to the whole "it's an idea" thing. Like if all people were the same, we wouldn't even notice the difference. So that's like saying, okay, well, let's control for the Middle Eastern people that are assimilated. They watch baseball and they don't have an accent and they're Christian. It's like, yeah, well, if that was what happened, then no one would have a complaint about it. Unfortunately, the ones who are assimilated are going to have to go too, because you're going to have to just draw a hard line somewhere,
Yeah.
because again, culture is an emergent property. Some people can assimilate and have assimilated, but
Yeah.
on average, especially in these numbers, they can't. So that's
Yeah.
why we're just advocating for total remigration. And perhaps it's very ambitious.
Yeah. Oh,
Perhaps,
definitely ambitious. Yeah. Because like you end up
perhaps
with
that's,
problems. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. To
yeah.
do with, because in Canada, we have a problem, and assimilation is more so the problem because we can't deport Native American people, right? And the problem is we have this branding issue with assimilation. It's so demonized because essentially what the residential schools here were was they were school, but they were also sort of like an assimilation mechanism, and and we were trying to make them have easier lives for them and for their future children because we didn't kill all the Native Americans here in Canada like the Americans did, which maybe we should have, but we didn't. So we're trying to assimilate these children in these schools, and the problem is in the media you see this rebranding of assimilation where we're letting Native Americans go on our major news organizations and be like, they were tearing our culture away. They were evil. But the reality was we were trying to help them.
Mhm.
So it's just a branding issue with this assimilation thing.
Yeah. I think we should deport Native American people too if they disrespect white people. I think we can do whatever we want, actually, just because that's what everybody else already does. And in some
True.
sort of weird, like reverse psychology way, that's what they want us to do ultimately, because people intuitively understand that these hierarchies have been flattened and our nature craves these hierarchies to be reestablished. And the reality is that white people are supposed to be ruling those hierarchies. And I have to be honest, and sorry if we're coming off a little bit blunt here, but I
No,
personally
this is
believe
what you're here for.
I believe that assimilation is a myth. I don't think that people really outside of the continent of Europe, maybe there's some peripheral cases, like some like half Moroccan, half English person, maybe. But like people outside of that, I don't think they can assimilate to our culture. And there's studies of this. Even you take like a black Republican person, and you could say somebody like Shelby Steele, for example, not to say that he embodies this sentiment, but like I'm talking about like the black Republican archetype, which is like the sweater vest and the glasses. These would be an example of like what MAGA people or what libertarian people would be like, oh yes, non-white people can assimilate to our culture. But even then, they've done breakdowns where on average, black Republicans still have an in-group racial preference for their race. And
Absolutely.
like white libtard people still psychologically have a racial preference for white people, even beyond politics or beyond this like facade of assimilation. Race is still the most paramount driving force here. So,
White liberals will call the black Republican, like Larry Elder, like a race traitor or something like that. Like,
It's such a strange.
black.
Yeah, it's such a strange reverse psychology that those lib people are, where they're like they know they're superior, but they reverse it and they're just like they have this guilt for being superior. It's so weird. One thing I wanted to mention to do with this that I think is it plays to what you're saying to do with everything is implicit bias, right? They call it implicit bias or whatever. It's a part of critical race theory, all that shit. That's what we're talking about right now. Because the idea is even if we assimilate them, this is what you guys are saying. At least what I'm hearing is uh, even if you assimilate, even if you bring everybody together, you can't remove the implicit bias, which is unfortunately when you have a white skinned person, the more white skinned you are, the more people will think you're superior, whether you are or you aren't. It's a fact. You know you've seen these old videos of like they'll put picture of a black person in front of a 3-year-old child and a picture of a white person in front of a 3-year-old child, and that 3-year-old child will look at the dark picture and go dirty, and it's like you can't fix that. I mean it in the nicest way. It's a real psychological study, but like you can't fix that implicit bias. So the problem is if you start mixing people with races, you're inevitably going to have the darker skinned people starting to build in their animosity towards any lighter skinned people. So
When you go far enough on an extreme, when you go far enough right, you start to see crossover with the left. And that's because we acknowledge the same problems. Implicit bias is real. Critical race theory acknowledges real things. The issue, and this is the whole reason why I basically call the left like satanic, is because I think the most satanic, as an abstraction, not literally, thing you can do is to flatten hierarchies, because the right says there are hierarchies, let's emphasize them and let's embody them. The left says there are hierarchies. What is egalitarianism? Flatten of hierarchies. What is feminism? Flattening of the hierarchy between men and women. What is communism? It's a economic flattening of hierarchy. It's capitalism would be the opposite of that. So that to me is the worst thing that you can do. They want to control for economic disparity, for racial disparity.
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge them and be okay with it, because everybody in the hierarchy will be better off. Do you think it would be better if I'm my daughter's father or if my daughter is my parent? It's obviously better if I'm her parent. And if you say, oh, well, there's an inequality there, let's flatten it, let's make them equal. Yeah, good luck with that. She's going to grow up to be a fucking crazy person. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like, when you think about that, it's a problem, right? Like it's a cardinal sin, like pride, right? When you look at it through a religious lens and you see these people having so much pride in being on the lower end of the hierarchy. And it's like that's a cardinal. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be striving to grow. And it's like, and you see it, and I agree with you on that, the right wing side of, well, anyway, right now is what we should be doing, because we're seeing, let's say, the trans movement, which is these people that we're affirming in them, in their misconceptions, rather than telling them, hey, you if you found a partner, it's good. You love them, that's good. Be trans then. But like, if you're a young person, you shouldn't be striving to be trans. You're just going to make your life harder. And so anyway, back to you.
I love that the left wants to affirm things. Let's utilize that. Let's affirm things that are true. How about we do that? Oh, are black people and white people equal? No. And that's okay. Can we just affirm what's true? Like, let's just do that. I'm happy to affirm anybody.
Yeah, for sure. So before I let you guys go, I got a few more questions about your music and stuff. I don't know, this has been awesome. The hour flew by. So it's always easier when there's 3 people, but so what are some of your guys' future aspirations for the music? Like, tell me about some of the songs you got coming up and some of the messages in them and stuff like that, if you've got them off the tip of the tongue.
I do want to say this. I've actually, music for both of us really, but speaking for myself, has taken a bit of a backseat the last couple of months because at one point that was the primary purpose. And then I got more invested in politics, and like my family comes before music, politics is now coming before music because I do think that it is existential and as a matter of survival, very important. I do think that because we're attempting to be and coming into the archetype of cultural forces, if you will, it will re-enter the conversation. I've had a lot of hangups with AI. AI really bothers me in a lot of ways. And for the past 5 years, I've seen the development. I've paid close attention to it, and it's demotivated me a lot. It's almost made me feel like it's pointless to make art. Now I'm starting to feel a little bit more optimistic about AI, and perhaps we will be able to utilize our ability as artists and as aesthetic creators to facilitate a new form of propaganda and cultural impact with AI in a more ambitious and large way. You know, like AI can just make a song now. It took me years to learn how to make a really good commercial grade song, mix, master, all that stuff. It's hard to do. Now I can prompt it and it's like pretty good, or like 80% as good as like a commercial song. And maybe that's not bad. Maybe that will allow us to do something even more ambitious, like full length music video movie things that are now, because and I'll end with this. Hollywood is a propaganda mecca. It's a center of propaganda. And really what AI is going to do is it's going to allow people to make full-length feature films without Hollywood. Now, for the time being, it'll probably be very expensive, and that's how new technologies start. They're expensive, but things trend towards zero in a capitalist society, ideally at least, in a decentralized society. So things will get cheaper. And that's going to decentralize the powers. So Hollywood isn't going to be the only people making movies. It's going to be people, and people with different collective interests. And I think that that may ultimately end up being beneficial to us as well, rather than the power concentrating into the hands of particular people with particular group interests. That's kind of my take on it. But I do think music, we're working on some stuff that'll come out this year for sure.
For sure. Okay, that's fair enough to take a back seat. Yeah, we'll jump to Jaxon in a second. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, what I do like about AI in terms of what I do is, because I make these long form podcasts that a lot of times people don't have the time to listen to the whole thing. I jumped on, I was playing around with this AI thing on YouTube now, because it can summarize your video and you can ask it any question you want. So I was like, okay, let's see if this thing is honest. Let's see if there's a lefty bone in this system, or if they've programmed in some weird moral taboo to it. So I went to this podcast that I did with this crazy girl named Chelsea Gods. She's like a left-wing psycho lady. She put out jokes making fun of Charlie Kirk's wife like days after it happened and all that. I brought her on. I fucking shamed her. I beat her ass in a debate real bad. Go check out that episode if you want to see something funny. But anyway, I went to this podcast and I was like, let's see if AI summarizes it right. And it did, right? Like I went to it, I was like, summarize the video, what happened? And it was like, this is a debate where Stephanjackson, the host, talks to Chelsea about da-da-da-da-da. And throughout the podcast, Chelsea's constantly interrupting. Stephan tries to keep the discourse civil, and Chelsea da-da-da. And like, it is actually honest about condemning her discourse. And I was like, well, shit, that's perfect. That's just what we need in terms of countering like what you're saying. So in a sense, I like AI for what I do a little bit, and it can help with writing some of the descriptions that I got to do for my videos. So before we jump to Jaxon about the music, do you guys like UFC? Are you going to watch that today, or?
We won't be watching that today because we're not really into it, though I actually am going to meet up with some friends today to do some. I'm not a fighter yet, but
we have a lot of fighter supporters.
Yeah, too. I'm getting into it though, because I've wanted to do combat sports for a long time. I've just never made the time to do it, and I'll be actually doing some later today.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm not a fighter either, but I play hockey, so somehow I'm de facto a fighter. I don't know. So Jaxon, sorry.
No, we have a lot like UFC people, fighters, bodybuilders who are always like following us and supporting us. Like Frojax, we got to get you guys in the gym. Like these guys are always on our case, which is kind of good. It's good to have that motivation.
The big guys are jealous of us lean guys because they know we're going to live to 100, and they're just packing on muscle because of their ego, and they just know it's going to cut their life in half.
Bro, I made a post yesterday, or I was shirtless in the gym, and I was like, I'm 6'5". How do I eat 4,000 calories? I can't put on mass. And I got like literally like 250 response, and everyone's like, just melt a gallon of ice cream and drink it with a straw. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking do that. I'm not gonna get diabetes when I'm 40. Like, are you insane? Like, and it's always those big buff dudes with like red faces, and they're like, eat fucking burgers with fucking cream and sugar on it. It's like, dude,
be like me, be big.
Put a stick of butter in your ass.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, so with that, you guys, I just want to thank you guys again for everything today. Like, and I just want to put some final words on it. I don't want to seem like I'm sucking you guys off here or anything, but I really do. I think you guys are awesome. I hope more people start doing what you're doing. And I really do. I think you guys are brave. I don't know if you guys get enough compliments out there. I know you guys are big. You got a lot of followers, but I just want to say I'm a pussy. Like, I hide behind the being a comedian so I can say things, and then if they're wrong, be like, pretend I was just joking. But you guys are brave. You're out there fucking doing it. So yeah, thanks for giving my little show some of your time, and good luck with everything you guys are doing in the future and everything. I wish the best for you guys.
I really appreciate that, man. God bless you. I appreciate the fact that you're at least out here talking about it. I mean, that's a great start. So
thanks for having us.
You bet. All right, that's Canadian Talk. All right, today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Rolls-Royce Meal Prep Service, specialty rice and proteins, weekly soup options. This is a great company. I've known the owner for my whole life. He is just a quality person, great cook. So if you are sick of cooking and you want to get somebody to make you delicious meals that you can have delivered to your house, or you can also do them on pickup, you can find Rolls-Royce on Instagram at Rolls-Royce YXC. You can just contact them by phone. Send them a text if you want, 306-291-5779. Or you can scan the logo on the screen here, and I think it'll bring you right to their website. I eat them every day. They're delicious. I just had a salmon one today. Big portions, cheap prices. So yeah, go and check out this food if you want to get some delicious food and you want to stay healthy. And we thank Rolls-Royce for supporting this episode of the Canadian Talk Podcast.